Welcome to the DFS Express Podcast, your stop for daily fantasy sports talk, including slate breakdowns and industry commentary. Let's go to the host of our show, the Daily Fantasy Sniper.
What's up, guys? Back for another episode, and today is a slate breakdown for UFC 236. Our main event is Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. Our co-main event, also a good one, Israel Adesanya takes on Kelvin Gastelum. Both those are for interim world championships. We won't talk about that. We will go fight by fight, talking about predictions for the fights as well as preferred DraftKings plays. I do want to get back to this being an express quick episode, quick thoughts for full in-depth breakdowns. I do those for DFS Army. Make sure you are a VIP. Use the code SNIPER for 20% off. DFSarmy.com or on my Twitter page. You can get a link there in the description if you are listening to this on YouTube. Click the link, become a VIP. You'll get full breakdowns of each fight. We do those podcasts on Thursday nights for the VIPs. A lot of other great content that I won't go into. I'm going to try and shorten these intros as well. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at the DF Sniper. Let's do a quick overview of the fights for UFC 236. First up, Brandon Davis, 8,700, taking on Randy Costa at 7,500. Davis is minus 170. Costa is plus 150. Costa is 4-0, fighting a bunch of bums. Brandon Davis may not be great, but I know he is low-level UFC caliber. He's got a win over Steven Peterson. Game guy, tough guy. You have to have more confidence in him just based on his skill set. I'm not overly impressed with Randy Costa. I'll take Brandon Davis at 8,700. Next up, Poliana Botello, 8,900. Taking on Lauren Mueller at 7,300. Both these women are coming off of losses where they were favored. Poliana Botello, minus 175 in this fight. Mueller, plus 155. I like Botello here. It's a weird, low-level women's fight. This one I could see going either way. I'm just not sold on Lauren Mueller. Botello was favored against Cynthia Calvillo. She got hyped up. Calvillo, weight issues, coming off his suspension. I think it was just too much too soon. I think this is a good spot for her here. I do think she can get takedowns in this fight if she wants them. Mueller got subbed by Wu Yanan last time out, and she was a minus 500 favorite. Give me Botello at 8,900. Not a fan of the price, though. Montel Jackson, 9,400, taking on Andre Sukumta at 6,800. Montel Jackson, minus 510. Sukumta is plus 405. This is your, I think, podcast mandatory statement that, remember, Montel Jackson has hands the size of Francis Ngannou, or bigger hands, whatever the hell the line is. Who cares about that? What I do care about is he's long, he's quick, he's athletic, and he is good. And Andre Sukumta is a counter striker who, even if you think he's live in this fight, doesn't score well for DraftKings unless he gets a knockout. I think Jackson is better, clearly more athletic, could look for takedowns. I like him a bunch at 9,400. The price is high, but there are a lot of dogs on this card I like. I think you can pay it. 9,400. Montel Jackson is the pick. Bilal Muhammad, 8,500, taking on Curtis Millender at 7,700. Muhammad minus 140. Millender plus 120. Millender just got exposed by Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, which I was big on that fight. I got that one right. He's got no ground game. Muhammad, smart guy. It's got a ton of takedowns in the UFC. The Millender fight was only a month ago, 6 weeks maybe. It's not enough time to fill in the gap. It's not enough time to correct that deficiency. I have to take Muhammad here. I will say at range, though, Millender clearly the better fighter. Muhammad is hittable, has been knocked out before, although he is generally tough. In space, Millender has the advantage, but I might take a couple of shares of Millender because everyone's picking Muhammad here. And there is a path to victory for Millender. It's more clear for Bilal Muhammad, who's a smart fighter, went to Harvard Law School, if you didn't know. Has takedowns. He's the pick here at 8,500. Boston Salmon, 8,600, taking on Khalid Taha, 7,600. Boston Salmon, minus 125. The comeback on Khalid Taha, plus 105. Both guys coming off injuries. They were supposed to fight each other before. Got canceled because of a Taha injury. Then Salmon never made his debut because he got hurt. So they rebooked it. I love Boston Salmon here. He is a phenomenal boxer. Taha is going to be undersized. No ground game really to speak of. Wings in the style that really plays into Boston Salmon, who I think is going to get hyped up a little bit as we move on here. And there's going to be spots to fade him when he takes on a grappler. This isn't the case. Should be a striking match. I like Boston Salmon a ton here at 8,600. Max Griffin taking on Imadaev, whose first name I'm not going to try and say. Imadaev is 8,200. Max Griffin is 8,000. Imadaev is, I believe he's still the favorite in this fight. If I could find the odds, it's minus 115. It is a pick'em. Max Griffin plus 105. I think the line is right. Close fight. Imadaev has also beaten a bunch of nobodies. Max Griffin's been in there with some really tough guys. We've seen him in there against Curtis Millender, the win against Mike Perry. Like, he's a tough dude. I think this is a close fight. I think it's going to play out at range. Imadaev, I don't think he's going to be able to get takedowns here or even really look for him. If anybody goes for it, it will be Griffin. Griffin, he is really fight worn, been in there for a long time. These two guys don't like each other. Griffin says Imadaev goes too hard in the gym, etc. I'm sure if you listen to other podcasts, you've heard this before. The way I see this fight playing out, though, is a close stand-up battle. I'm going to lean towards Max Griffin at 8,000. On DraftKings, though, I'm actually going to probably be underweight to this fight, hoping it goes to decision in a low-pace striking affair, which I think is pretty likely. All right, Alexandra Pantoja, 8,800, taking on Wilson Hayes at 7,400. Pantoja, minus 150. Wilson Hayes plus 130. Look, I like Wilson Hayes here. I know he's really old. Pantoja's better on the feet. We've seen Hayes hurt before, but the way Pantoja loses fights is he gets taken down and controlled. I know he's a black belt, but so is Wilson Hayes, and that's how Wilson Hayes wins fights. Takedown and control. I mean, I'm looking for some actually high-priced fighters to play as we're going to move on here. You'll see a trend starting to develop. But Hayes is the preferred play. I will have some of Pantoja because Hayes, especially for 125, has kind of a questionable chin. Point per dollar, though, I like Wilson Hayes. I like the grappling. I think he can get takedowns. We've seen it happen to Pantoja before. Give me Hayes at 7,400. Jalen Turner, 8,400, taking on Matt the Steamroller Frivola at 7,800. Turner minus 125, Frivola plus 105. I was all in on Turner last time as he took on somebody who had no business in the cage, the UFC cage, last time out in Callan Potter. Frivola, good fight against Lando Venata. Showed he is tough. I was all about him in his loss to Polo Reyes where he just got stupid trying to brawl. I think he's corrected it. I do like his aggression, and I think he can get takedowns in this fight. We've also seen Jalen Turner knocked out several times in his career. I like Matt Frivola here. I think he's more well-rounded. I think Turner's hyped up a little bit from that last outing. He is explosive, can get a knockout, but Frivola can take a shot, he can give it back, and he can grapple. He's my preferred play at 7,800. Nikita Krylov, 8,200, taking on Ovin St. Peru at 8,000. Saw this fight years ago. OSP won it. Krylov, though, the favorite this time. Small favorite. It's pick'em. Minus 115. OSP is plus 105. I'm still leaning towards OSP, even though he's older. We've seen him hurt a bunch recently. I haven't seen Krylov be able to stop takedowns yet. I think OSP can get a takedown, use his size, potentially get a submission. I can see Krylov winning. It's not an overly confident pick. This is a good GPP fight. I will have both sides of it, as OSP is clearly deteriorating. And Krylov is 9-2 in his last 11. Until I see Krylov close the hole and I see the path to victory for OSP, he's going to be my pick at 8,000. But it will not surprise me if the recent knockout loss to Dominic Reyes rears its head. We see OSP losing fights until he wins them. Not last time out, obviously, but he gets hit a lot, is the point here. Playing both sides, but give me OSP in a really a coin flip type of fight. Alan Jouban. I don't know why I just put the pronunciation on Jouban's name. 8,300, taking on Dwight Grant at 7,900. This is another fight I'm not sure I want a ton of for DraftKings. Dwight Grant, not very active. It should have beat Zach Otto, but that was a hometown decision. Last time out was... I'm looking at Jouban. That's why that didn't look right. I'm like, I don't think that Dwight Grant fought Ben Saunders. That seemed weird. Peter Solly is who Dwight Grant sent the mouthpiece flying last time out. Basically, Dwight Grant is going to look to counter, and he's got big knockout power. Jouban can fight a good game plan. We've seen him be smart against Mike Perry. Also has power in his hands. Has been out for 2 years. This is actually a close fight. I'm going to pick Dwight Grant to win. I like the youth. I think just being in the cage, I think he's going to be able to counter more, get his timing better. We've seen Jouban hurt before as well. He got blasted by Nico Price. I'm going to have a little bit of Dwight Grant, but probably underweight to this fight overall. I'm not confident in Jouban coming off this layoff. Give me Dwight Grant at 7,900. Eric Anders, 9,000, taking on Khalil Roundtree Jr. at 7,200. Anders minus 200. Roundtree plus 170. Everyone likes to hate on Roundtree, and everyone now is coming around saying, well, he's gotten better, and this is a good fight for him. And while I agree, I'm gonna pick Roundtree. I see path to victory for Anders. He's the better pure athlete. I think if this goes late, he's going to have more cardio. If he gets a takedown, we've seen Roundtree improve a little bit. It's just I can't trust Roundtree on the ground at all. What this ultimately comes down to for me, though, is that we have a freak athlete in Anders taking on a guy who, whatever you want to say about him, is a fighter. He grew up as a mixed martial artist. He's trying to be a fighter. Anders coming over from football. We see Roundtree put away one of these sideshows in Gokhan Saki before. Made a good amount of money on that one. Here, same thing. If Roundtree hits, he hits like a truck. I know we got Anders moving up to 205. They're going to be about the same size. I'm not sure Anders can get away with just that athleticism here. And I know we didn't go down to Thiago Santos as more of an accumulation of strikes. Roundtree has freak power. I don't think Anders is especially better anywhere. I like both sides of this fight for GPPs, but I'm leaning towards Roundtree Jr. I like the guy who is an all-around mixed martial artist. Not all-around. Poor choice of words there. I like the guy who this is his primary background as Anders is making the transition. I'm always going to favor those type of guys. We'll talk about Greg Hardy next. We'll talk about this again. GPP fight, I lean towards Roundtree because he's cheaper. Israel Adesanya, 9,200, taking on Kelvin Gastelum at 7,000. Israel Adesanya, fifth time fighting in 14 months. He's a minus 175 favorite. Kelvin Gastelum plus 155, who I have continually made fun of for not being able to make welterweight. I keep saying he's a welterweight fighting at middleweight because he likes tacos, and to some extent, I do still think that's true, but everyone's talking about the striking advantage for Israel Adesanya, and clearly he's the more varied, diverse, explosive striker. But while it's not varied, Kelvin Gastelum keeps dropping people at 185. It's like 5 straight fights or something crazy like that. It's a simple 1-2 that just seems to land and land and land. Not to mention, he doesn't use it a ton. He has a wrestling background. If you can get Israel down, he's going to have the advantage there. Israel Adesanya is not going to be able to use his limbs for BJJ on the ground. I think there's multiple paths to victories for Kelvin Gastelum. I think Adesanya has been fighting a lot. This is also his first real step up. His split decision to Marvin Vettori less than a year ago. Kelvin Gastelum has been in there and beating guys like Jacare. I think Gastelum is the better fighter. Adesanya is the hot name who I think will get there. And if he's improved that takedown defense more than I can imagine since that Marvin Vettori fight, good on him, he'll end up being champion. But when I look at the fight, I think that Gastelum will be able to close the range. As Adesanya's backing up, I think Gastelum will pressure, and as Adesanya backs up, I think that's how he'll be able to close the range, land a left on the inside, where we've seen Adesanya knocked out. Granted, not in MMA, but we've seen him knocked out with a left hand. And then once they close the distance, that's where the takedown could present itself for Gastelum. So I like Kelvin Gastelum. He's my pick to win. So obviously he's going to be my preferred play at 7,000. And while this fight is a 5-rounder, it's not one I'm super excited to stack. On the other hand, our main event, Max Holloway 9,100 taking on Dustin Poirier at 7,100. Holloway minus 210 right now. Poirier plus 175. Stack this fight and move on in your cash games. Everyone's going to stack it, but I think you have to. When these two guys get in the cage, they go to war. So I do think this is a fight to stack. I'm going to pick Dustin Poirier straight up. I'm not so much counting on, I'm not going too deep into, Poirier subbed him 7 years ago, which he did. But obviously they're two different fighters. I get that. Holloway's takedown defense, I think, is being overrated. He's gone many fights facing not any kind of takedown threat, aside from Ricardo Lamas. Yes, Brian Ortega's got great BJJ. Does not have good offensive wrestling. I will argue that forever. And he still got 2 takedowns, though he did pop right back up. He also doesn't have any boxing. He just gets hit. And Holloway was able to use his speed, circle off, and obviously bludgeon him. Poirier, if these two guys stand and trade, Poirier is going to be the bigger puncher, even if Holloway is actually the bigger guy despite being the featherweight champion. I think Poirier's got a power advantage. I think he can grapple in this fight. He's a BJJ black belt. I think if he gets this fight to the ground, obviously not as dangerous on the ground as Ortega, but plenty capable. I think he has better grappling. He's going to have a good game plan from the ATT camp. I think it's a coin flip fight. I don't want to sound like I'm overconfident here. I was going to rant about this on Twitter. I think the line is wrong. Minus 210 is because of what people saw Holloway do to Ortega, which I've kind of just touched on a little bit. This is a closer fight. A Holloway win wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think either way, the winner of this fight is going to score really well. I think the line is wrong. I think it should be a pick'em, and I would lean Poirier for the reasons I mentioned, so he will be my preferred play. All right, guys, that's what I got for you for UFC 236. Make sure you're a DFS Army VIP. Use the code SNIPER for 20% off. Also, please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on iTunes, 5-star review, please. I really appreciate all you guys. I really can't say that enough. The Twitter handle's @TheDFSniper. Love talking fights with you guys. Hit me up. Willing to talk anytime. Good luck in your contest. No matter how it goes, enjoy UFC 236. It's going to be a fun one from Atlanta. Good luck in your contest.